Hi there. Camera's not quite where I wanted it. Thank you. Just doing what I gotta do. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, dude, we look good right now, dude. We look like we're gonna be casting for something. You know what I mean? Like I feel like we're doing shout casting. Yeah, you always gotta be prepared for stuff. You never know what's gonna happen. It's
Exactly.
just it's just what happens. I
Yeah, it's
mean,
yeah.
you
You
just
just
you never know.
just
You
gotta
always
be
got to be
prepared.
ready for anything. It's
hmm
just it's just what we do over here. You
Yeah,
know.
exactly. I completely understand the need to be prepared. Like,
Oh,
I don't appear to be prepared. That took you a little bit too much time. You'd already be dead.
probably.
If you can't tell what we're doing or what we're talking about, or if I had my mic muted for the intro of this performance,
Did
uh,
you?
maybe.
Oh,
Uh, welcome to the John Wick week.
John Wick.
John Wick week. Yes, it's John Wick week. Um, I don't have really much to say other than, are you ready for nonstop action, Dev?
Yes,
Yes.
the best. Okay, so I, I, I'm with Steven when I feel like everything's trying to be a franchise in the wrong way.
hmm
This is not the wrong way.
No, this was like
So like that. So I'm so looking forward to this.
so. Anything else you want to say or do before we hop into movie number one today?
No, other than there probably will be spoilers in certain ones because it's just too good.
Yeah,
There'll be a
there.
long spoiler discussion. I feel like.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have to spoil all of these movies, not just one of them. Like, yeah,
Oh my god! If you like the raid, you'll like this.
the rate. Oh yeah, sorry. Okay. All right. Either way, let's hop into it today with movie number one, which is John Wick.
John Wick.
So Dev, if you were to tell me, like, okay, so I'm gonna preface this. I went to the theaters and watched John Wick 3 in theaters. While I was in theaters, I saw a trailer for this movie called Anna, Anna. From what I could tell from that trailer, all it was a woman who was good with weapons. And that's it. And that was the whole movie. Um, so I was a little like, heh, 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 heh. And if you were to tell me back in 2014 that there was a movie with a guy who's good with weapons, I would probably be like, yeah,
You want to know the major thing that makes this like this movie alone? Like, it's glorious, and a couple people that I've watched videos talk about this have also pointed out, including like everything great with.
okay,
Um, they talk about the fact that like this movie is shot beautifully.
yes,
It's given focus. Like there's one fight scene that doesn't have a focus. It's just like in a house,
mm-hmm,
but it's still good. But it's not the best.
mm-hmm,
But there are other scenes where they have fights that you're getting from point A to point B,
oh yeah,
and it gives that extra tension, that extra drive throughout every fight, and it's awesome. The other thing that's great about this film is its lighting is amazing. You can
mm-hmm.
tell what's going to happen based off of lighting.
Oh yeah,
In this film.
especially in like certain scenes where there's like reds and there's blues and there's
Yes, and
yes,
it's like upon watching, because I watched them in order, right?
mm-hmm.
I watched everything great with after
Everything great
before
about.
three, great about, sorry, for the first two after I watched them, and then went to the theater, saw three. Entire time I was like, oh, there's lights.
Ooh, there's
Oh,
cameras.
oh.
Oh, look at the
Like
action.
the first one sets that,
mm-hmm.
because there's precedence that like in a blue or green light, John has advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Under a red or other light,
Off.
it's tension.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know.
Yeah, well, the red lights are often for villains and stuff, and many times at the fights in between combats, lights will turn purple, and like, it's really quite stunning what they've done with this. Like, the action in this film, like, the choreography, the cinematography. Don't get me wrong, the story kind of but you don't
I don't
really
think the
need...
story needs to be. Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, like, this
Ugh.
movie is clearly just action for action's sake, and it does it so well.
It does. And, I mean, the story isn't bad either.
No.
It makes sense. Like, the thing is, like, if John was just killing it, or, let's say, first death, without spoiling it,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be as driven. If he went for stolen item, it wouldn't be as driven. But for second death, suddenly, and what that second death represents to him...
Yeah, it's not just a, you know...
Yeah. And it gives you a sense of purpose that he has a reason to be doing this. Like he has a driven reason for it. On top of that, like people talk about Keanu Reeves being like stiff. When he's given when he's out of those moments where he's allowed to just kind of let loose, acting wise, he shows a lot of fucking emotion. So I don't know what people are talking about. There's one scene in this film where he's given the right to just let loose. And it's when he's talking to the big boss.
Oh, yes.
And you feel the emotion in every single goddamn syllable he's saying in that room.
See, I would kind of counter that at times because Keanu Reeves is very good at the action choreography, and he's very good at high emotion. But mid emotions, when it's just staring down somebody with anger, I don't see anger when he's staring people down. I just see Keanu Reeves being Keanu Reeves. So it's well,
I don't think this entire time John Wick, it doesn't really have anyone. You can tell when he's staring down someone that he needs, he's angry for in this film. But when there's someone that he doesn't, when he's not driven to kill someone, you can tell it doesn't matter to him. You know, his character's almost desensitized to it.
Oh, absolutely, his character is desensitized to it.
One of the best ways.
And
the other thing I really liked is that there are very few cuts in fights.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Which is the way you do this.
Yes. You could tell good fighting cinematography and choreography based on cuts and how, if someone can punch and they take the punch all within the same frame without any cuts, that's pretty damn good. And you could keep doing it over and over and over again. That's nice.
Yes.
And one thing...
you go ahead.
One thing that I do have to say, though, about, I feel that this movie did kind of take advantage a lot of us not knowing where the people were. Don't get me wrong. I feel like at this point in time, this was very much in the era of mobile cams. What are they called? Crap. Suddenly blanking. Gimbals. Gimbals and cranes and all that stuff. It's when you can finally hold a camera handheld and make it steady while it's moving. You didn't used to be able to do that pretty early on in the 2000s. Later, this is probably about the era when everybody could start doing it, and when people
2014.
2014, and it was very nice around this time. Online personalities started using it, and then because they were using it, Hollywood started using it, and it all looked really nice, I'll be honest. But it did a lot of... I thought the camera moved a little bit too much at times. But it was still really good. But it also, the way they used the camera kept a lot of information out from us. So, we get to see a lot of really cool, badass moments from John Wick. But it's if we got to see a little bit more of what he was seeing, I think it'd be a little cooler.
Well, I mean, I feel like the fights wouldn't be as good to watch if we did it that way.
It depends.
I feel like with the way that they choreographed it, because the thing is that he's using gun kata or gun fu, depending on which term you like to use.
I like gun fu.
I prefer gun kata. Of course, we would be on opposite sides of that. God damn it!
It's gun fu.
Gun kata. No, whatever you want to call it that. But it's such the way that they've choreographed it is that I don't know if we saw it from are you talking about from his perspective or from behind him?
There was a lot of times when we got to see John Wick facing us, and then he's already shooting somebody who's not even on frame yet. And that's kind of stuff that I get a little bit peeved about, because like it seems cool that it's like he gets to be the super elite assassin dude who sees his stuff before we the audience do, and we're supposed to be favored in these movie experiences. So it's like it really amps up how badass he is, but at the same time I was like, this could be like it I don't know. I was iffy about it, but it was genuinely
Well, I'll
cool.
say this: a lot of those scenes too would have required a cut because of how he was fighting.
Yeah, no, it's all, but it's a lot of rolling, it's a lot of tumbling, it's a lot of brawling, and
Oh, dude! And the other thing that I love about it is that like John isn't impervious; he gets fucked up. Like,
especially in this first movie, like this is
Yeah.
this first movie and the last movie are definitely the ones where he gets, I think, the most punishment.
yes,
But this first one in particular, like he's got, I don't know what, just the sheer fact that he gets like punched right after surgery or whatever. Ah.
or the fact that like there's a scene where he literally pulls a knife into himself to get closer to someone.
Oh yeah, so you can break their arm, and it's like,
Yeah. Fuck.
yeah. Use the sound effect, Dev. I'm just kidding.
Nah, that's a fuck you. It's not a fuck.
Oh yeah. Oh well.
I don't think I have that set right now either. Hold on, let me. Fuck you. I do have it set. Okay.
All right, good to know. All right, do you have the spoilers ready for when we get there?
Yeah, I have that always ready.
All right,
Trust
you
me.
say so. All right, so like genuinely great. One of my favorite things that I liked about this film too was the fact that they didn't give us a lot of exposition about John Wick. Like
No.
all that we like, this is a movie just for the action, and we really know that, but I genuinely love the fact that it's like, do you know what you did? Do you know whose vehicle that is? It's John Wick. Everyone knows who John Wick's is. Even the fucking police officer knows who
Dude,
John Wick
I love
was.
Jim.
Yes, it was.
You working?
No,
No.
it's personal, or I'm working on something. All right, I'll leave you to it. Yeah.
And I love that the world builds its own lore.
Yes.
Gold coins, things that you like, things that they act are so common, so you just accept it. Like the guys who come in to clean up bodies, or the hotels, the rules, all this, and the other films build upon this so well. Or the people that interact with each other. Like, he walks into a place, and this dude, like, I think it was Harry was his name, and he's like, "Hey, John, Harry, you working?"
Oh yeah, the security dude. Are you
Not the security dude, not that one, but that's a different good
Yeah,
point.
I love that one.
You've lost weight.
Yes, yes, I have. 60 pounds.
60 pounds.
Impressive. Why don't you
Why
take
don't you take the night off?
Thank you, sir.
And it makes you see John isn't a merciless motherfucker.
Yeah, he's caring.
Merciless, but he does care.
Yeah, and the best part is like he knows everybody and everyone knows him. That's like genuinely my favorite thing about this whole film.
It's
Like,
great.
yeah, it opens up so much. Like, it's almost like a superhero film, how I would love to see it. Where it's like, we don't need to see how they were made. We don't need to see what they've done. We just in their prime, and they're doing awesome shit. And they're just a part of the world. Like,
It's a good way to do it.
like, one thing that I really liked about Pokemon was, I'm randomly changed subjects, is like Pokemon, they gave us one brief second of exposition of what Pokemon were, and then that was it. It was just, but Pokemon are in the world, they're here to make it easier, and that's that. And then they never explained what the Pokemon were. They didn't explain any of the jokes. They were just there. And that's just kind of what this was too. It was everything around John Wick and the lore of whatever organization he's with at this point in time is built, and we just know it exists, and it's cool. Like,
Yes.
I like that they don't explain everything, especially because this is a group of assassins, and like, and just how they all treated each other when it came to just talking about John Wick was cool. Yeah. It, like, that was kind of what made me the most excited about this, because don't get me wrong, I love the cinematography and the action in this film, but like over time it's kind of the same thing, just a little bit, but it does it slightly different. It's all really, really cool to watch, but I feel like you can get a little overloaded on action.
The way they fix that is by making it so that he's not going up the same type of goon every time.
Mm-hmm. They change it up a little bit.
Yeah, they go like there might be different parties, but also there's a variety of different like skilled people as well.
Mm-hmm.
And they improve upon this system way more in the second and third one.
Oh, definitely.
Because also they have more time in the second and third one. This one's only an hour and 44 minutes, I think.
Yeah, it's almost 2 hours long. The second
and the
one
other
was
two
2
are
hours
over
15
two.
minutes.
Yeah. No, the first one was 2 hours 2 minutes, I thought.
Oh, whatever. It doesn't matter. The
2
exact
hours
amount.
2 minutes, and the third one's 2 hours 10 minutes. The third one's 2 hours 10 minutes. Sorry. But like the escalation of them, like there's not just one basic thing that he has to go past. Like there's big dudes, there's skilled stylists.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's there's one of my favorites in there is Miss Perkins, played by Andrea Padalecki. I think it's Padalecki. Yeah. She is actually her Marvel cameo
Is she?
of the movie. Yeah, she plays Bobby Morse, also known as Mockingbird.
In Marvel's Most Wanted.
Marvel, well, was supposed to be Marvel's Most Wanted, but that never happened. But Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, there it is. I see it now. It's a shield. I see.
Most Wanted was supposed to happen, but it never did. And
It says
really
here it
sad.
came out in 2016 on IMDb. It was a TV short.
It was supposed to come out on. Oh, did it actually come out?
Okay. It says it was a TV short that was released in 2016, where she played Bobby Morse.
Oh, I didn't think they ever actually released it. How did I not know about this? What I'm watching later. It was supposed to be a series, and it was canceled.
Okay.
So
Well, now
I
you
didn't know they made that. Yeah, cool, awesome.
We all learned something today.
And then also like other actors in here, like one of my favorites is the Doctor.
Dude, the
Continental Doctor.
Yeah, the Doctor was great. The fact.
But do you know why he's so great?
Why is that?
Do you know what movie he's connected to that Keanu Reeves is also in?
What's that?
He's the Keymaker
He is the Keymaker.
from Matrix Trilogy. So, like, I like those little things. Like, they brought in actors that you'll recognize. Like, there's fucking mayhem in this movie.
Oh yeah.
And he's one of the best parts.
Like, I love the A-list actors that they brought in here. Like, they have Willem Dafoe. They have freaking Mayhem, like you said. They had, let's see here. Who was the other person?
John Leguizamo. Ian McShane
Ian
plays
McShane
Winston.
was my favorite. Fucking, like...
Lance Riddick plays hotel manager, also known as
the concierge.
Cameron.
Like, dude, everybody in this
Jerome.
that they had was great.
Yes.
The only, like, was there any character at any point in this film that I was like, huh, that's not up to par? And the answer would be no. Like, the only one that I thought was kind of out there, the one that really kind of confused me at first was Alfie Allen. Like, only because Game of Thrones, but because I was just like, what's Theon doing here? This isn't the Iron Islands.
This isn't a torture dungeon.
Yeah, basically. Like, this is probably where Theon went when he was being tortured, spoilers, for whatever season of Game of Thrones that was.
It's years ago at this point, we can spoil it.
Sure, fine, whatever. But yeah, that he was probably the weird part, but I even liked his roles where he's just like the sleazy, ignorant, privileged child of the mafia or whatever.
Who then slowly realizes how bad he fucked up.
Dude, like my favorite thing, the whole like he starts learning about the boogeyman, and then his fucking friends playing Call of Duty.
Was he playing COD? I thought he was playing Halo.
I thought either way, hilarious to me. All the same.
You stopped playing that fucking game?
Yeah, he stopped playing it.
Yeah. We don't spoil how, but man.
So, Dev.
Yes.
John Wick 1 here. Is there anything we want to say before we move on to John Wick 2?
No. I'm. How do we do popcorns with 3 films? Because usually it's you give me popcorn, I give you popcorn.
You know,
I didn't think that far ahead.
neither did I. We also need to
I just
figure out
thought
other
about that.
things. Like after this conversation, we need to have a talk. So yes, I
Is it
think
pertaining to future things that we need to figure out?
no. Yes.
Yeah.
So, I think for now, Dev, I'm just gonna ask you for popcorns, and we'll think about the third movie when we get there. How about
Fair.
that?
Huh. Well, how many popcorn do I get?
Well, today you get 5. I'm just kidding. It's 10. I feel like 10's a good amount of popcorns for
Okay.
a movie.
I would give this a solid 8 for me.
I can appreciate
It's
that.
very good for the casual audience.
Oh yes, 100% very good for the casual audience. Even though I'm not part of the casual audience, still love this movie. It was really good. I would have to give it somewhere around 7.5. Honestly, like it's good. I'm glad that we chose to watch this. Like it's genuinely like decent film to watch that was fun and entertaining and very well shot. And like it's not often that we start talking about colors in movies because a lot of times colors don't really matter nowadays, but it's really cool. All right, next film. Why I need to hit the button. It's not going to be a fancy transition. Are you ready? Next film. John Wick 2.
John Wick 2.
I didn't want to spend the time making another scene, so I just kind of did
That's
it the
fair.
easy way. So John Wick 2, Dev. So, I was a little upset with the open in this film, but I think this film also helped establish, I think, a minor problem that these movies have. And it's that the opening film, the opening fight, is almost genuinely the coolest fight in the movie.
I would counter that. I would counter that.
It depends on the moments. Like, I thought the opening fight in this film was pretty damn cool, but I wouldn't. But I only thought it was cool because it was more. It felt a little more raw at first, but also kind of unwarranted. But I wouldn't say it was the best one in this movie. It might, but depending on who you talk to, they would say this was the best fight in the movie.
And I would counter them with every fight in this film that Common's in.
That which one's it?
Plays Cassian.
Oh, Cassian.
Yeah, Common's character.
Okay.
Those fights were brilliant.
I would say my favorite one of their fights was them in public.
Yes.
Just the subtlety of it.
Oh my god. Silencers don't work that way, but it was worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, that was my favorite.
They're just this.
Wait, I'm on the wrong side.
Oh, we're shooting the wrong side.
Yeah, where it's reversed here, Dev.
Well, in the movie, they walk this way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no. Either way, it was still like.
Common, and the thing is that you learn this is that Common is a lefty shooty.
Nice.
Through that film, you find out because John always shoots this way, right, with his hand with his pistol. Common shoots this way with his left, and he picks up his drink with his left. They set that up.
Oh yeah, they set everything up.
They set that up.
It's
This franchise is the epitome of Chekhov's gun. In the best way.
Like, I love that one of the things that we learn about John Wick, it's told in the beginning of the first movie, and then it's talked about in the beginning of this film, was like the legend of the pencil. And then we got to see a part of it.
3 dudes with a pencil.
I've heard the story.
A fucking pencil!
Who fucking does that? Yeah. No.
I love him, by the way. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Oh, where is he? But he's
so
just, I
unimportant.
love him. Where is he? As soon as I see his face, I'll know it.
Is there a Pip in your room?
No, Pip is just outside the door.
Okay.
Where is he?
He was unimportant in this film. He was only in it for the intro. So look all.
Yeah, but everyone's in this film that gets credited.
Scroll all the way down, you'll probably see it. I don't know.
Oh, Peter Scarmore. There he is.
Oh, yep, there it is.
A fucking pencil. I love Peter Scarmore because he played Natius Nelson in Mercenaries video game, and he was my go-to mercenary in those two games.
Really?
And so yes, so I have his voice embedded into my fucking brain because he has that like very like.
Mm-hmm.
He has his voice. That's the best way to put it, and
Okay.
it is. It was just as soon as I saw him, I'm like, yes.
Yes.
I'll
Okay.
be yes.
For me, like, I didn't know who he was, so I didn't know. But I knew he was a good actor because of what he was doing, and I liked his reactions. Like, he was more hysterical than I felt like Theon went, and I thought that was cool. It's like, my fucking nephew, and his car happens to be... Like,
Yeah.
it's just, my fucking nephew! It was good. This opening scene, once again, every time that they establish, it's almost like Mission Impossible, where like each movie they establish something that John Wick can do, and then they go with it and they show it off.
Yes. Well, the other thing too is that like this one has one of the best tension moments too, with the fact that when the one of the bounties is placed,
Mm-hmm.
when he's just walking through New York.
Oh yeah, it's just like, I love the fact that like a big thing in this movie is cell phones.
Yes, in this franchise.
Yes. And it's super cool. Like, just the ringing. They use sounds a lot in this movie too. They do a lot of imagery. They make John really freaking smart. But the sounds that they use is genuinely awesome. Like, sorry, I keep getting distracted by Torrin over here in the chat.
Fair.
If only he actually knew what was going on. I'm kidding. It's not that bad. But no, this was like, I don't even know how to begin. Like, it definitely, when you think that the action in John Wick 1 couldn't be upped, it really could. And
they showed it off.
yeah, they really did. And then I did like one thing that they did in this movie as well as, like, they still had to establish more. Like, the first movie was about just John Wick being a badass. The second movie is the repercussions of him being a badass, but then it also shows, like, what he used to do.
Yes.
Like,
And it shows a lot of just, like, how that order of society works in their world. Like, one, they're fucking everywhere.
mm-hmm. They're
Which
everyone.
is pretty much. The other cool thing about it is that, like, you find out about, like, markers. You find out about, you find out that, like, when you go to the Continentals, like, there's different ones in every city.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, some of the services they provide are fucking fantastic.
Dude, the Continental for the movie, like, the Continental scene that we got was genuinely one of my favorite, because one thing that we didn't talk about in the first movie, but the first one and the second one really do this, is the subtle humor that they have.
Yes.
Like, the sheer fact that there's a whole scene that's like John Wick ordering off of a dinner menu, and it's not at all him ordering dinner, was hilarious to me.
Or when he's getting his suit tailored. Like, they're like, and finally, what about the seams? And there's only so far that you can go without just being, like, tactical. Like, because the entire time, you know, they're like, do you need a, are
night
you
or
going to be
day?
night or day? Both. Are we going with, how many buttons? Two.
Yeah. Inlay
Like-
or outlay, or how many cuffs do you want them out or in, and like what style? German.
And then it's just like, towards the end, and what about the seams? Tactical. Like, there's not a term you could use to replace that with.
No. But still, like, it just builds and builds, and there's like, I like that there's this whole like they show the respect for the rules constantly. Yes. It's just man.
And also Lawrence Fishburne shows up, which is cool.
True, but he I feel like his role in this movie was really only, was really only there for his role in the next movie.
Which, okay, can we talk about that? Like, we're not on the next film yet, but, like, setups throughout these films are really well that they don't break the story. And, like, the first film was an open and closed story, pretty much.
Yeah.
But they left it open up enough in case it did well, which is how you do a first film. Look at Iron Man.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And then, this film does a lot of setup while also telling a good story, resolving its conflicts throughout. Like, there's only one conflict at the end that's left open-ended, but that's just because it's gonna be the next film.
Yeah, and the next film just takes off immediately after the film ends.
Yeah. 30 minutes. About, like, 30 minutes has passed between this film and the next film. But you resolve everything that needed to be resolved in this film. And there are films who don't do that anymore. There's films that all they do is just set up stuff. We've talked about this. That was the problem with Justice League. I mean, that was the problem with Mummy.
There's a whole list of movies. Do we need to just start writing lists? I'll have lists behind me of like, oh, this is an example of that film. I'm just kidding.
Kinda. We may need that at some point. But, like, it's just one of those things. It's just like, this is how you build a franchise. Like, you subtly hint on other things. Like, you don't just blatantly throw it out there. Unless it's towards the end of the film and you're setting up the third one, which they kind of do on this one, but they do it in a way that makes sense to close it for this chapter. Like, the only other franchise... Like, there's two other franchises that I'm kind of invested in at this point, besides John Wick now.
What's that?
Marvel, obviously.
Yeah.
And Godzilla.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Like...
I need to see the first Godzilla movie now that you mention it. It's on our list.
Well, I'll talk to you. We'll talk about that after. But no, like, it's world building the way that they've done it in this franchise and King Kong and Godzilla with like Monarch just underlined throughout it. It's not like it's the thing that's like Monarch just exists, you know, in that world. So it's a connecting line. This one, like the League of Assassins, as we'll call it for right now, just exists. Like we find out about the High Table.
Right at the very
there's
end.
different, and the Continentals are like their own set of like separate faction that coexists under the High Table. And it's just, we find out more in the next film, but they set all this stuff up really well in just like lines that are just said between people. It's just it's world-class world building.
It really is. And I don't even know. I can't add on to that, honestly. You're genuinely correct there. These movies are great. They don't go too heavy on the exposition. This one does a bit more because they have to show that, like, they have to give a little bit of what's going on. They do have one of those genuine conversations that I hate that's like, here's the MacGuffin. Here's the motive for this whole film. This is what it means and why we're doing this. Okay. Like, that's the one part of this movie that I wish they could have improved upon. But genuinely, if that's the only thing that I'm upset about... Wait, no, there's one other thing. But, like, genuinely, that's awesome. This was great, and you were
a film franchise that makes Steven, no offense,
an action franchise
complain less
too.
Makes you complain less and keeps me happy. Is a film franchise that we can commend.
So, like, there is one moment. Yeah, there's only one moment where I was like, really? Is this what's going on? And it was the part where they did like the 3 fights at once, where they flash between all 3 fights as he's going through right before Cassian.
Oh, okay. Fair, but like I felt like that was just to show that, I don't know.
Like, it's just weird that they go from one moment where he's walking away, then it's him limping, and then they fill in the blanks in between. Like, all at the same time. They could have just shown us that fight. And I think the reason why they didn't has to be because of the sumo guy. He was not good at the fighting at all. Like, but then at the same time,
they just threw a big dude at him. Is what they did.
Basically, like
the big guy just thought that he had a chance. He did not.
No, true, and they wanted it for I guess the show what John Wick can do and the scale and his vast abilities of fighting prowess, but like the actor who was playing the big dude really didn't know how to fight well, and I think he was the reason why that they cut it up the way they did. I
think he can fight well, just not in that setting.
Yes. His reactions weren't good to being punched. His he got shot in the head and he was like, ooh. Ooh. And then he falls over at some point. It's like God. He wasn't that good. But it was ultimately kind of cool to still watch. Because this movie's just cool. It's like the rule of cool.
Yeah, no, the rule of cool kind of dictates this entire franchise.
Mm-hmm. Like, I'll be honest, I didn't watch these movies in order because I just really didn't have the time. This week has been hell for me. I'm really tired right now, but you probably can't tell. But it's been really busy. So I saw John Wick 3 first, and I went in there thinking, I'm just going to ignore like the backstory, like world building stuff that I don't know about, and just enjoy what I'm seeing in front of me. And then I went back and watched 1 and 2, and still I'm glad that like there was very little backstory building lore in 1 and 2 as well. So like, but I forgot where I was.
If it doesn't need to be talked about, it doesn't get talked about.
Yeah.
Which works really well for this franchise because it keeps an era of mystery in it. Mm-hmm. So.
And the fights, and I was just excited about these fights. Like they kept making them better. They really did.
Yes. There's one in like some catacombs.
Mm-hmm.
There's
And I have to say, I love the actress in the catacomb fight. I like her, even though she's very genuine, a bit role.
Are you talking about Ruby Rose's like the mute assassin?
Yep.
Yeah. No, she's awesome, and then like the mirror place, dude. One of the best shots in the entire movie is in that mirror place.
Which one do you think?
Where you have to get the perspective of where the guy sees John Wick in a mirror, and John Wick sees him in the mirror without seeing the cameraman in the mirror. Mm-hmm. And that there are only a layer between them. In a house full of mirrors. That's damn near impossible.
I'm gonna go against that. It's a house full of mirrors, and there's such a thing as two-way glass.
I didn't even think about that. It's still really cool. It's still awesome.
No, it's genuinely really freaking cool. Visual effects, like Honeybee is saying, fucking yes. They do amazing with the visual effects. And one of that moment that you're talking about in the movie is also one of my favorite things that shows the intelligence of John Wick. They show it as well in the very first like house fight in
yes,
where it's just like he sees and instantly knows what's going on and corrects, or he just knows. Like in the house fight when he ducks down. When they're
because he knows the guy's gonna shoot high.
Yeah, and
he's gonna go down and still shoot where he is.
Yeah, exactly. That's really cool. And then in this movie, it was the exact same
another thing that happens in House Fight that I'll point out too that he does really well is when he's reloading real quick. You notice how quiet he does it, and all of a sudden you hear a person reload on the other side of the wall. He knows where that guy is. All of a sudden, he moves. He pounces on it. Like it's just you can't you can make this shit up, but you can't at the same time. It's too good.
One thing that I liked about John Wick is they constantly showed, like, he's not going to be somebody who just takes you on if he hits you. Like, if there's a group of people and one of them is down on the ground, like, disoriented, he'll definitely finish that person right then and there and then continue on to the people that he needs to finish.
That or he'll disorient you, shoot the ones who are a higher threat, and then come back to you.
Yeah. Like he's a genius. Visual effects are cool. The action's awesome. The cinematography is great. It was better in this film for sure. One thing that I liked that they did in this movie was they started to stick the camera into like stable places more, and then they built fights around that. And I really liked that they do that in 3 as well. So,
yeah, no, it's so good.
So,
like this film we could praise forever.
absolutely.
Like,
And we still have one more film to praise.
yeah. And then too, like I loved like it's just good, and I liked that like this one showed that even more that John is gonna get beat the fuck up too in the first one. In my opinion, like the jacket he has is a really cool jacket, and it's not too far out of the realm of possibility, which is why it works.
Yeah, like they kept it within the realm of reality to a point. Like we as people know that if you get shot with a bulletproof vest, you still feel the force of the bullet, even if it
And they
doesn't kill
say
you.
that.
Oh yeah,
They're like, unfortunately, it still hurts.
yeah,
The entire time. And the entire time John gets hit once and he's like, ugh, real quick.
Yeah.
You know? Which is why you'll see him also do this, where he pulls out the jacket far enough. Mm-hmm. Like he cloaks himself in it.
Yeah, he
so
shields
it's hitting
his
over
face.
here, it's not yeah. But if it's on his body, you hear fucking Keanu Reeves, the entire time. It makes it feel real, you know?
Mm-hmm. Do you think these movies suffer from a problem of like superhero movies? He's just fighting the guys with the same powers.
No, because it's different, if that makes sense. It's real. You know what I mean? Like, the closest superhero movie you can relate it to is a Batman film.
Okay, yeah.
And Batman doesn't deal with that kind of issue. Batman deals with a different style of issue. You know what I mean?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So I would consider it like that if we're comparing to superhero stuff.
Okay. I can appreciate that.
He doesn't deal with people like they're similar skilled, yes, but you know he's better. But it's just a matter of how much better can he like, and he because he gets exhausted and stuff like that, and like they keep things very consistent. Like one of the things that grounds him in reality too is that like two fights that ground him in reality. Mm-hmm. The shotgun fight where he has the shotgun, mm-hmm. It has to reload, and every shot he takes isn't beyond how many shots he had on him. Mm-hmm. And then the fight where he has the 7 bullets.
So that one thing that I did like that they kind of established it more in this film. They did it in the first movie, but they did it a lot more, especially in the fight with the 7 bullets. Is like his ingenuity of just picking up stuff and going with it. It reminds me a lot, and it's Jackie Chan. It's genuinely like Jackie Chan teaches a form of martial arts that he's invented that's using your environment to fight people, and it's kind of a start. They kind of do that in this movie, but it's mainly with guns and knives and stuff that all the mercs that are coming at him have.
Yes.
But it's cool because he'll fight a guy, disorient him a little bit, hold him, shoot somebody, take the clip off of the guy he's disoriented's back, and then shoot some more and then kill him, and like it's cool.
Yeah, no, and I agree. It's like it's so unique. Yeah, and it's good. Like there's so much good in this film. Like these films, it's crazy. Like I don't know how else to put it. Like they just choreograph everything to make it feel like it in this reality, which isn't too different from our own. Everything works. Mm-hmm. And like one of the things that they do as well is that they make it like bullets count literally. Mm-hmm. If you go off of it, like his bullet counts are realistic for what gun he's holding.
Oh yeah.
So
one of never mind. It's not important. I agree with you. It is. You're very right. You're very true. It is really cool that they keep that real. One of my thoughts throughout this entire film, in both these films so far, is like the amount of previs that they had to do, and like how many like. So when it comes to this amount of like action with all the blood and like these close-up intense fights that are happening all within minimal cuts, there's a lot that's going on, and it's hard to keep everything consistent between takes. So one thing that they have to do is called prevising, which is they get people to choreograph the fights, and then while they're choreographing the fights, and learning how everything goes, they're building like the set around them, and
Yes.
and they try to get these shots all in one take, because if they don't, they have to reset everything, and that takes forever. So the amount of time and dedication that it makes, especially for like Keanu Reeves to do these kind of things.
Oh, like you've seen the videos of him training for these, right?
Oh yeah, like him actually.
he's-
One thing that I find both really, really cool and also a little bit overplayed is the fact that Keanu Reeves is live reloading his magazines every time. It's flick, reload, shoot stuff, and it's stuff that he's genuinely doing, that he trained to do for these films.
Yeah, it's like Keanu Reeves is someone in real life that I would never want to go up against. Because he's legitimately pretty much trained to be John Wick. Like, we talked about character acting before. Holy shit. Like,
It's like he went almost method. he
went as method as a film like this allows.
basically. You can't go too method because he's just a man who shoots things. But he shoots things really, really well.
Yes. And Keanu Reeves trained to shoot shit really, really well. So, it's kind of terrifying at the same time.
Oh, yes. So do we want to do popcorns or...
Yeah, I'm going to give you some popcorn. You want
Okay.
some popcorn?
Can I get about 10 of them so I
Yeah.
can give like...
Yeah, you got 10 popcorn.
Okay, I want to give 8 of them to John Wick 2. I'll keep 2 of them for myself. Like
Fair. I'm going to give 8.5 to John Wick 2 myself. What did you give the first one? 7.5?
7.5.
I mean, so it goes from an 8 to an 8.5 between the next ones. But that's just because they do improve upon the film and the lore building and all of it. It's good. Like,
It's not entirely much different from the first movie, but they do enough that's different to keep you interested the whole time. But
yeah,
that's also kind of why we can't. Go ahead.
I feel like it may, for some people, it may suffer the same issues that Guardian of the Galaxy 2 suffered, where people said that it wasn't as good as the first one, when in reality, it was, and it was better, but because it
wasn't as
already
much like fast-paced action.
Or it wasn't as fresh, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it wasn't new. So...
Like, I'll be honest, every time they slowed down for the story moments, I did kind of lose interest. Like, when they started explaining a little bit more, I was like, okay, I guess that's cool, somewhat. And then the action happened, I was like, oh, this is really cool. Because I just like cinematography, I'm sorry. It's just stuff.
Fair. No, that's cool. And I mean, one of the things I did enjoy is that the lore building worked in this franchise so far. So
it definitely has worked. It definitely does work.
So...
And next one?
Yeah.
So yeah, technically the first ever John Wick movie I saw, John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum.
Did I say one of my favorite takes in this film?
Sure.
It's towards the tail end, sort of, but the bikes. It's about a minute-long take on the bikes when they're going down the bridge.
Yes, and they go, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It's about a minute-long take before its next cut when there's that fight, which is really cool. It makes it feel so real, and you can't blink.
Yeah, this film does a lot of long cuts and very minimal movement. Like, they keep the camera steady if they can. They'll probably move it along a hallway, or they'll keep it in front of John's face, but it's always just the same angle as the action's happening. This movie genuinely improved the action choreography so much more. Like, 1 is good, 2 is better, 3 is too good. Almost.
It's batshit crazy.
Yeah, like the stuff that they do, and like they take their time. They do long, slow takes.
And something that we didn't even talk about in the first one or the second one was that the operators.
Oh yeah, they establish a little bit more of the operation in the inner workings of.
Yeah, which was cool. There's a cameo in there if you didn't notice.
No.
for the operators in this one. Robin Lord Taylor, he plays the administrator, the only male person of the operator system that we saw.
I didn't notice him at all, in all honesty.
He was the dude with the black hair and the piercing on his lip.
Wasn't that in number 3? I saw him.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
You know what he plays? He plays the Penguin.
Yeah, you didn't even let me answer. I knew the answer to that one. God damn it. He is Cobblepot in Gotham. Yes, it's really cool.
I don't know. I love seeing these actors that like you wouldn't expect, like just showing up. Like fucking goddamn Braun shows up in this film.
Oh yeah, and so Sir Braun of Blackwater. Yes. Braun showing up, and he was cooler. He was one of my favorite parts of this movie because he's one of the higher ups. He's definitely like, there's the Continentals, which really cool, and he's above the Continentals. Like, he is almost like the table itself. And
I'd say he's probably, because there's people of the high table, I'd say he builds the table that they're at.
Yeah, like, he might be the table, and then there's the people around the table that are still using him. Like, you know, that's kind of what
he runs the bank.
Yeah,
essentially, is what he does.
And he runs the banks and stuff. And his role is really cool. Like, he's smug, but he's smart, and like, he does things that are both like, he knows he can't help John, but he does at the same time because he's smart enough to know how he can.
Yeah, he tells him the information and is like, I still can't let you go, though. Like, is essentially how that goes, and it's just great.
And one thing that I was kind of a little disappointed about, though, was in this movie, I thought they show us a character, what's her name? Sophia?
The adjudicator?
No, the other one. The girl that he works with.
Oh, Halle Berry's character? Sophia?
Yes, Sophia.
Yeah.
I thought she was an established character already at this point, and I was wrong. So when I was watching the movie, I was like, oh, this is kind of like, I was like I said, I was throwing out the stuff that I didn't know about the world and the lore building. So I was like, oh, it's a character that he knows, that he's helped. And it's something about these markers. And then the second movie, when I was watching it, rolls around, and I was like, oh, hey, cool. This is probably when they establish her character and what he does for her. I was wrong. They never establish what he does for her other than, like, word of mouth.
Well, I'll say this. It also works for that franchise in the sense that, like, almost like that, like, the world building is that you don't have to see everything that happens. You know what I mean? You don't need everything from his past to understand who he is, what he's done. And I feel like if we were, like, I don't think we really see any flashbacks this entire franchise, besides the first one for just his wife.
In the second movie, yes, there are a lot less flashbacks. The first movie had a lot
if
more
any.
flashbacks.
I don't think there are any.
Other than the one in the beginning about looking at this. Because they show it right at the very beginning in the second movie. Where, like, right after he gets his car back and he opens up the card.
Oh, okay, yeah. But, like, the only flashbacks you get are involving his wife.
Yes.
You don't get anything else. And I think that works really well in the sense that, like, that's the only thing that matters to John.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying that I don't like that they didn't give us her backstory. Because that's something I've been praising this whole time. I like that they don't give us the backstory of these characters and what they are in relationship to John. I like that we're just thrown into the world for all of the action and what we get. That's stuff that I really enjoy. However, like, in retrospect, after watching these films, I was like, she is a very integral part of what he's needing to do. And, like, I just, as a, like, kind of a storytelling thing, I would think that they would have introduced her previously, but
that's fair.
Ultimately,
that's fair.
It's not needed.
Another one I did like was Ernest. Library.
Yeah, Ernest was
big dude. That was a good fight, dude. Like, there's some awesome fucking fights in this one.
Though this movie has the coolest fights and some of the best moments. I will have to say I'm also disappointed with these fights a little bit more as well, especially the ending fights.
Really?
Yeah, like there are plenty of times when John should have died.
Yes, I can agree.
So many times. And this entire film is him supposedly fighting people who are all trying to kill him. But for some reason, towards the end, when it's supposed to be really climactic and he's losing, they choose not to kill him. Many times. And
Well, I
like,
will say, I'll point out this.
I understand that it's like them being fans and they're like, they want to honor him and stuff like that. But at the same time, why? Why this? Why these moments at these points?
Because they also know who wants to do it.
So he's sending all his lackeys intentionally to die?
Yeah.
That's dumb. Like,
You wear him out. You give yourself a higher advantage. You wear out John Wick to a point that he may make a mistake easier.
like
You fight with you.
it's if this is like I don't like behind closed doors conversations. And that happened like
But you like Game of Thrones. Sorry.
no, actually, this season of Game of Thrones is my least favorite because
I was making a joke.
Yeah. all of this
I was
season
talking about
is really
previous
bad.
season.
But
I was talking about old seasons.
those are still better. Like behind closed doors conversations are like an example would be like somebody's having a conversation and it cuts away, and then later on in the television show, there's that character who is in the conversation. The conversation has happened. You can tell she's clearly affected by the information, but we don't know what has happened. We didn't get to see any of that stuff. We didn't get to see the development. That happens in this movie a bit. But in other movies, and in earlier seasons of Game of Thrones, that doesn't really happen as much.
That's fair. But I also feel like it's also got to be more from John's perspective with minimal information given to us, so that we... It's give and take, is the best way to put it.
But yeah, but what I was getting at, sorry, I got a little sidetracked there with the Game of Thrones things, but like what I was getting at there is, if behind closed doors the conversation was, knock out John Wick and bring him to me, sure, that makes sense. But from our perspective, what we see is these men trying to kill John Wick, and then not, and then dying. So it seems like he's just like, oh, go ahead, go out there and die. I want you to go fight him and die.
All the other ones are trying to kill him. I think the two that you're thinking of were maybe trying to kill him, but they also knew that, like, I feel like they were higher up Shinobi.
True, but like, it's almost like the last fight where this is really important is almost like a video game boss battle where there's like, it's Mortal Kombat where you're going through the arcade mode and you're fighting up the tower. And it happens in all three levels where he should have died each time with different opponents, and he didn't.
Well, what do we... Well, on the first floor, it's not as
On the
much.
first floor, it's the very beginning of the fight where they kick him through 9 fucking things. And instead of stabbing him while he's down, they keep kipping him through cabinets.
I loved that. I'm not
was
going to lie, because it
funny.
was so unnecessary, and it was great.
It was funny, but he should be dead there. It was cool.
It was, the big way to put it is that they play with their food.
And then the next the next floor is the 2 boys, and then the third floor is the final boss, and then he had John dead at least once and didn't kill him. I'm like, spoilers.
Alright. I don't know, man.
Like-
It's still cool.
So, but
Like,
yeah,
I feel like it's the rule of cool.
it was
here.
very much the rule of cool there. And
Like, I don't want to pull it out. I don't want to use it every time. But
Ugh.
I feel like rule of cool prevails here.
So, but the fights in this movie are genuinely that much better than the other films. And one of the things, like I said, like how I mentioned, it's Jackie Chan fighting. It does that to the extreme here, where it shows his ingenuity.
My God!
Like the museum fight, my favorite fight in this entire film. Absolutely, the one before the museum fight, the barn fight, second favorite. Only because
That's after Museum.
Okay, yeah. Either way, second favorite part because the absurdity of it is ridiculous.
Oh my god, dude! Literally, our theater I was in, just all of a sudden you just heard the whole theater go, "Oh,
yeah."
Oh,
Like there's one thing in the movie, like they did that whole like stabbing eye trope. It's very common in horror to build up a lot of tension for that exact reason. And like
I cringed a lot.
yeah, it was really cool. I like how they brought it up super close to the frame as
They did. It was really cool, but my we've talked about it on the Hard podcast. I have a problem with eye things, all right?
That's why they're a thing, man. People
I know,
but
it was so well done, and I hate that it was so well done because I have to give it praise, but at the same time I'm sitting there in my seat like
visual effects, man. Visual effects.
Oh, dude, it was like when he throws the fucking axe.
That was also one of my favorite parts. The fact that he's not even in focus when that happened. He's in the background, and he's just being a badass. It's cool.
Great. It was so good.
This movie takes everything. Like, 1 was cool. 2 was cooler. 3 is the best. Genuinely amazing. Though, I'll be honest. The storytelling and the slow moments in this film, like when he's on his own in the desert, that was too slow. Like I lost a lot of my my driving, my motivation to keep the film going at that point in time. And then it tried to build itself back up, and it kind of didn't to me.
I feel like it did for me personally. I do feel like you need slow moments, and this film has them to make sure that the next set of things that happen,
you don't get burned
are
out.
still intent. Yeah, because this one also, sorry, excuse me, does one of the funniest things. Sorry, there's weird
choked on your
thing.
tie. I don't know. We'll see.
But they introduce. I don't know why they didn't introduce it sooner, but it was cool. But I know why they didn't introduce it sooner because they weren't needed yet. But fully crazy armored motherfuckers.
Well,
that you can only kill from 2 angles.
Yeah, from really close.
Yeah, you have to get really close to either their neck or face.
Yeah, which also, that was another thing. Plot armor, the concierge. We'll get there when we get to spoilers.
I have counter for that.
Okay. We've
but
already spoiled a lot of this film. Do we just want to jump into spoilers?
We might need to. But that would mean that we would need to decide who starts on the popcorn. Or should we just both say at the same time?
Why not? Why not?
Alright.
Alright.
We have 10 popcorn.
We have 10 popcorns? I like that. Okay.
Okay.
Do you want to do the countdown or should I?
Sure, I'll do it. 3, 2, 1,
9.
Ah!
Genuinely.
They progressively get better, is the best way to put it. My only problem is that there is some extra setup for certain things in this film.
Yes.
Story-wise.
The ending was very disappointing to me.
I can agree. But they ended in a way that, I still want more. So...
Yeah.
I gotta take that with that because I know there's gonna be another one, but I want more. So, they're giving me what I want. So, thank you.
Well, with that in mind, spoiler time?
Let's get ready to spoiler!
I'm so glad I have buttons.
I've gotten to the point where I have to give you at least one button, or else you'll just use your power too much. It's yeah, I'll give you the one button. That's fine. You can have your one button that's part of the show only when you're on the show. What happens when you stop being my co-host for the show as often, Dev? When we become too big and too busy. Kidding. So, John Wick.
John Wick 3, spoiler times, and we're probably gonna talk spoilers throughout the entire franchise, just because it's just what we're gonna do at this point.
Because we have to because it all connects. It really just all connects.
Oh my god, oh my god.
Like, one of my favorite things was, they constantly mention this film, you're doing all of this for a puppy. It wasn't just a puppy. It's like, but
it's a symbol. It was the last thing my dead wife gave to me.
Yeah, after she died, she gave me this. Like,
it was so I didn't have to grieve alone. Like that speech in the first one, dude.
Mm-hmm.
It was the only semblance of me not having to grieve alone. And he took it from me!
Yeah, like, you see, like, the bad guy who's Vigo, that one. Hugo.
Yeah.
Like, you see him as, like, completely change gears. He's like, we're done here, John. And then he sees why John's doing this, and he's like, fuck, I'm dead. And especially at the end fight, when he's just, like, laughing and having a ball, like, he's like, I'm fucking gonna die. Might as well have fun. Here's your gun. Good luck.
Baba Yaga!
Yeah.
Ah, dude, just like his fall into insanity is fucking awesome.
And then, okay, so movie 3. Like I said, let's start with the ending fights. No, actually, we already talked about those.
A little bit, but not in super. I liked, where is he?
Our bad boy, our main villain for this film.
Yeah, Mark Dacascos. Dacascos?
That seems right. As Zero.
Yeah. Which, by the way, you never really hear his name.
No, they never say his name, really. I think they say it right at the very beginning when we first get introduced to him as the sushi chef, but...
Dude, he's awesome.
He's genuinely a really good martial artist, and I feel like that was part of the reason why they gave him this role. But then he was all humor the whole time. Like,
well, I admit, I liked it.
Yes, no, I agree.
It was... Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad we agree on this. Because it was so out of place the entire time whenever there was a slow moment between him and John. And it's just like...
humor and admiration.
I'm a huge fan. Like...
Yeah, it's...
What you do, I love it.
I love it because it's one of those moments where, like, John's constantly having those moments where, like, he's the one who gets off and relaxes at the Continental, while the other person who's there is, like, tense, and he's like, I gotta do this. But it's the other way around this time, where John's there, like, he's the tense one. He's like, I gotta do things. And
well, because he's there to do a certain thing that he doesn't want to do, but
he
had to get there. And then he's there with Zero, which I loved the sitting scene. Just how they did that.
Yeah,
like,
sitting right next to each other, and...
like, Keanu Reeves sits relaxed down, and all of a sudden Zero sits as far forward in the seat as possible, but as close to John as possible. I was just like... the entire theater just let off one big...
Yeah, like, that... I don't know what's changed suddenly, but theater culture's changed a little bit, where, like, my theater was definitely getting into this movie, or it was just like...
my theater was getting into it, too.
Oh!
Which I was okay with.
Like, I enjoy it. Like, it's as long as
it's nice to hear reaction.
Yeah, reactions are fine, but, like, talking over the movie, no, that's not fine. Reactions are good.
Oh no, I agree. Like, and the reactions just add to the experience as well. So,
but so yeah, the end fight, I was upset with it because, like I said, he was kicked through a cabinet 9 times. I think I don't know if I'm overestimating or if I'm underselling it. It might. Like, it happened a lot. And he should be dead there. But it was funny. Like, it happened once. I was like, okay, that's cool. Second time, oh, that makes sense. They're going to genuinely do it the third time. Everything happens in 3s. And then, bap, 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 bap. It's like, oh, god damn it. They're just... And they're not... And it... The thing that angers me is one of them's just watching this happen. Like, of course he'll... chime in every once in a bit, like, but like, it's just one guy's kicking, one guy's kicking, one guy's kicking, the other guy kicks, one guy's kicking, one guy's kicking. It's just it's just at that point, John should have been dead. he's exhausted, yes. We even know that he's exhausted because the guys tell us that he's exhausted. And John acts as if he's exhausted, but he still kills them and lives. And
Because he's able to use them against themselves. Is the big thing John is able to do. Because he's been there. He understands how that room works. So...
And then the second fight, which was... He had a knife to him at least twice. They let him get up. And it's even like, oh, you're getting slow, John. He's like, fucking, I'm old and I'm tired. Hold on. And then
just went through 6 of your guys, and I took out an entire armored infantry division.
Like,
relax.
Yeah, and like I find it's fine that he doesn't kill them and he just lets them be knocked out. And I was like, that's kind of cool. That's fine. So, but then the third fight, when like he's actually fighting the final boss, and the final boss, it's like final boss struck first. He had the knife to John's throat and didn't do anything about
It's
it.
a common thing inside. Well, because
Just
at that
kill
point,
him. $14
you're
million.
already extended. You're already extended. Okay.
But his right
You
here.
step forward. No, he wasn't right there. He was at here. If you step forward to do that, and John moves to the side, you expose your arm to get cut from the other side. There's a reason for it.
I will. So, while that may be true, I don't know much about sword fighting. I'm sure you don't have much practical knowledge of sword fighting.
I don't either, but if you look at I have enough basic knowledge to understand that if you were fully extended out, you can't put much force into it without actually moving forward, right? Which, with your legs, because your arms and, the legs are different. So, from that pose, he's sort of already exposed.
From how I saw it, the blade was like all the way up here. So all he had to do was slice down, and that's it.
If I remember correctly, it was here, but this is also the dragon situation again. Where one of us isn't remembering correctly, and we'll find out later at some point. Did you ever go back and figure out the dragon situation?
No, I've been told I was wrong, but I haven't checked myself. You're welcome.
Like I fucking said.
But yeah.
But like it's also just like one of those situations where one of us would have to go back and watch this film again, which we will more than likely
At some point.
At some point.
Like I saw the first one with my dad. I'm probably gonna have to watch the second John Wick with my dad, and then he's definitely gonna want to see the third one because those were good movies.
Yeah. But like like if I remember correctly, he's just overextended. So if he moves forward, he's gonna expose himself.
Yeah.
Because he knows John's fast enough to avoid a lunge strike at that point.
We're the same.
If you're,
the same person.
because like the big thing is like you already have your arm extended, so you can't get force behind that without using your legs.
Yeah, I get that. I understand that part. So if you're right, you're correct, and I'm wrong.
if you're right, then
I'm upset.
Sort of understandably, but he also was the kind of person to play with his food.
Yeah.
It's the other thing.
I mean, he's a sushi chef. That's kind of what they do. They play with their food really fancily. Oh. If you said something, my computer...
I didn't. I said it shows afterwards.
Yeah. So, that fight was a little disappointing. But
the bike scene was so good.
Yes,
though.
The bike scene was really freaking good. I thought the cyclists though were a little bit of the expendable forces because we see them a few times and they just die right away almost every single time, except for the bike chasing scene where the boss is also on one of the bikes.
Yeah, fair,
cool. Really cool.
Real cool.
Yeah.
Real cool.
My favorite thing about it was, though, also a confusing part was the horses. The horse fight. Really cool. How he used the horses to kill two different people, two different horses, the exact same way. That's cool. That's just him.
The second one was worse, though, because it was a double tap.
Yeah, it was hit. Not dead yet. Dead now.
What the fuck, dude?
So,
okay, your plot armor issue, though.
Yes. Sorry, 1 second. The plot armor issue was the huge armor fight. Like, they're in the Continental, they're fighting. All of the hotel staff dies in one instance, except for the concierge.
Get a counter with that. Sharon knows what he's doing more than the other guys did.
I guess, yeah.
He's got more experience in the business, and if you read the comics that are actually preludes to the John Wick world, he's in it, and you kind of learn that he's actually really badass.
Yeah,
so.
like, you could kind of tell that he's a badass. Just, like, if you're management or almost management, you're pretty badass.
Yeah, pretty much.
But that also leads me to, like, one of my complaints for the second film, which was the dude who is now in charge of the Caraxo branch of the High Table was a bit of a bitch for being a top-ranked assassin, supposedly.
He wasn't a top-ranked assassin. He was part of the High Table families.
Yeah. And
his sister was obviously better at the job.
Yes.
And you see why his dad picked her through all of this.
A little bit of a bitch. Which was kind of my complaint for the first movie, too. It was just like, his whole target was a little bit of a bitch, but it was still really cool.
Well, I wouldn't say that Yusuf's Alfie's character was a bitch. He just didn't understand the severity of the situation he's created.
Mm-hmm. John fucking Wick.
His dad understood.
Mm-hmm. Because he
doesn't understand until the spa scene.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, oh shit, I fucked up.
I'm gonna die. No.
Probably. It's just the world building.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know what else I could say about this franchise. Jesus.
It's like just all the cool stuff. I liked the museum fight, especially because it showed the ingenuity to the extreme, and the like how they all became pin cushions in some way, and knives went in and went out, and it was super cool, and like the axe throwing from the end of the hallway.
Oh yeah, dude.
Like all of it in this movie took it up a level, and though I do have to complain that like there was a moment where like right after the horse scene, like the horse fight, he's riding away with a horse and he's being chased by a guy with a motorcycle, and the guy on the motorcycle doesn't kill the horse. You're chasing down $14 million, yet you're gonna leave a horse alive. I would be the sadistic bastard to kill a horse for $14 million.
I mean,
maybe not even kill it.
On.
Shoot it in the foot so it falls, and John falls face first into the asphalt.
If you hurt a horse's leg, it's getting put down. You know this.
That's only if it's a show horse. So, do something so the horse falls over. Don't kill it. How about that? But, like,
good chance it still gets killed, but
either way, that was an easy way to kill John as well. It's just, there's small moments that it's like, John could have died there. John could have died there. But still really cool film altogether. All the action was great. All the stuff was cool. I was only slightly disappointed with the final fight as well, with, like, how it was a little similar to the final fight of the second movie. Or it was like lights and reflections and mirrors and stuff like that. I thought it was okay because it shows John Wick, like it showed him being more of the boogeyman in these instances, at least the second time around. But it was still a little too similar for me.
That's fair. It's very similar. My biggest problem too is, though I'm happy there's going to be a fourth, the way they end it, it's setup. It's good setup. But it leaves such an open-ended... It leaves it too open-ended.
Are you pissed, John?
Yeah. But also leaves it in a sense that, like, I can't wait to see what they do.
Like, at this point, I just feel John's screwed. Like, sure, the only thing that they can do for John to not be screwed is to kill everyone in the High Table and the Elder Dude, which they find in the desert. Like, that's the
Yes.
only way he can survive this now at this point. So I feel like at some point that's going to have to happen. They've set up the fourth movie for war because they have Winston, who I think still hates the High Table. They have the Bowery King. They have
Well, I don't know
Sophia.
if Winston's on his side at the moment.
He obviously kind of is.
He's in the gray area.
Yeah, like I feel like he intentionally didn't kill John. Like,
I feel that too, but he also realizes the consequences of his actions.
yes. So like he's in hot water with the High Table. But I don't know. Like, I just feel that they did set up a little bit too much for the next film. In this one as well.
I can agree with that. I can agree with that. That's probably my only complaint. But everything else was still stellar and better than before. So,
So yeah.
yeah.
Is there anything else that we want to talk about in this movie?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay. So with that in mind, let's head over to the news.
Can I talk about one thing first?
Sure.
You wanna know how close it is to being number one all time?
John Wick movie, or what do you mean by number one all time?
Endgame.
Oh, Endgame. How close is Endgame to being the number one all time most paid for viewed movie, highest grossing film? Dev.
It's at 2,614,000,000. It's
600. It's less than like 500,000 away, right?
I think it was. I need to double check it, but I think it's like right there. It's like it's on the cusp.
Yeah, it's. So one thing I was
Avatar was 2.788 billion,
and
so it's just under 100 million.
yeah, okay. 2.8 billion, and yeah, we're at 2.01.
This one's 2.788. It's for Avatar. We're at 2.614.
Pretty close.
It's gonna do it, dude.
We'll see. It's been 3 weeks already since it's been in theaters, right? 3-4 weeks.
Yeah.
I think Endgame will probably only be in theater for another maybe week or two.
I think my theater still has it in the VIP section.
Oh.
So I think it still is doing well enough that it's gonna be out there. I think for at least another month, potentially. Okay. Because also, if they leave it out for another month, they could run it alongside Spider-Man.
I could.
I think comes out next month, right?
Spider-Man.
I
don't know.
know they're in July. First week of July. They may run it until then.
Okay, it's possible.
Depending on how its box office is doing late June. And honestly, I don't see a lot of competition for its style of film. That would kind of knock it out. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, I guess I agree with you in that instance. I guess we'll have to see. Is how I'm saying. Like,
no, that's fair.
Like, I could definitely see
this
movie. Yeah, I could definitely see this movie going into theaters longer than like the average movie run, which is only about a month. So I could see it lasting longer, and if it does last longer than the average like month, they'll definitely have it.
Well, Avatar lasted longer than a month, right? If I remember correctly.
Probably.
It took it 7 weeks to hit 2 million, I think. 2 billion.
So yeah, it's possible it'll last for 2 months. We'll see. Well, it's just time will tell. It is the highest grossing film so far in a long time, so it'll probably stay in theaters for a long time. But let's move on to my topic that I brought up. It's more like a think piece rather than anything else. And go away. So I want to talk about since tonight's the season finale of Game of Thrones.
Yes.
It's the series finale of Game of Thrones. I found this article on Quartzy.com, which is people trying to figure out what the next big monoculture show will be.
Heard about this article. I didn't check it out though.
I picked it up because I thought it was interesting. And so basically, what this article is saying is that HBO, Hulu, Amazon, and Netflix all have really big shows that they think can replace Game of Thrones. However, I'm going to name some of these shows for you, and I bet you can think of some of the complaints I'll have. So, first things first, they have 3 Game of Thrones spin-offs coming out. HBO. Makes sense. They're going to try to write off the HBO Game of Thrones.
The only problem is that spin-offs never do as good as the main series.
Mm-hmm. Unless they're really, really good, but they never are. So,
Unless you're talking, like, spin-offs only work if they're established differently, if that makes sense. Like, Flash is, like, if we look at, DC TV stuff, Flash does better than Arrow, but it's also established differently. It was, like, Barry Allen was established in Arrow, but he's able to hold the show on his own, and people were looking forward to it. But also, that was during the hype of superheroes. So...
okay.
Maybe I don't see one of them doing it though.
Okay. Next show that's brought up. Lord of the Rings. It's a show being remade. It's by Amazon.
Maybe.
So yeah.
I can see it, but it's been done, so maybe not.
Yeah, they're remaking a movie trilogy into, well, not a movie trilogy, a book trilogy. They're remaking the books that have already been made into a movie trilogy, into a 5-season series, is what they're saying. 5 seasons.
Which can work, but it's gonna be slow.
Very slow. Like, it might be the kind of world building that I like to a degree that I enjoy, like slow story building, but that's not super exposition heavy. I might like it because that's kind of what I liked in the original Game of Thrones, but I'm not sure like what they can tell with the Lord of the Rings here. Is it going to be the same story of Frodo, or is it going to be like a war that's happening on the sidelines, like fighting off people as they're doing different battles, kind of like the video games, like Shadow of War and Shadows of Mordor or whatever?
Well, and the problem too is I don't want them to pull what they did with The Hobbit. The problem with The Hobbit was that, like, the problem with The Hobbit is they tried to shove too much lore into it.
Mm-hmm.
They pulled, like, it wasn't just The Hobbit that they pulled from it. Because they had the Brown Wizard.
They pulled the Silmarillion and all that stuff, too.
Yeah, they pulled in the Silmarillion.
Yeah, the really hard Tolkien word.
Yes.
Silmarillion?
Silmarillion? Yeah. Which is a shit ton of lore.
Yeah, like, literally, for those of you who don't know what the Silmarillion is, the entire Lord of the Rings books, that whole huge trilogy, is 2 sentences in the Silmarillion. That's it.
Yeah.
It's the Hobbit found the ring and a Hobbit destroyed the ring is basically it.
Pretty much it just tells you, fuck you, read the books.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of stuff in there. And they just, like the White Ogre, whatever it is, he wasn't in the original Hobbit at all.
No, I don't think he was he?
No, I don't think the Brown...
Well, no, I think he was. I think the orc was, because there's the fight of the 5 armies.
Maybe. Maybe?
But I don't think he's as developed as he is in this.
Okay.
So, and that's the thing, like, the problem is they broke one book into 3 fucking movies as well. So they stretched shit very thin.
Mm-hmm. Action, dragons, yeah.
At most, that film could have been 2.
Okay.
Two, like, that book could have been 2 films.
Yeah, easily.
There's enough there that you could have done that, but they decided to add a whole bunch of the Silmarillion bullshit in there, and it's rough.
And now, but now we're gonna get 5 seasons of Lord of the Rings. Can you keep an eye out on chat for me? I can't see it right now, so if anybody's
I got
anything. Okay. Next movie that they brought up, or TV series, His Dark Materials. It's based.
Maybe.
I don't even know what this is. It's an
It's
epic.
based on the Golden Compass stuff.
Okay.
It's it's an HBO series. They're doing that on
In partnership with BBC. Huh.
It's you remember the movie with the giant polar bear?
Yes.
Came out. That wasn't great, but it's based on a book franchise that apparently is really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's that.
Okay. So they're just gonna. So okay. So you see three things here that have a similar thing going on. By chance,
They're all based off of books.
like the next one, The Chronicles of Narnia.
Wait, what? There's a show for that coming out?
Yep, made by Netflix. Acquired.
Oh, right. I remember hearing about that now.
Yeah,
Oh,
Netflix
God.
acquired both the film and the television rights to the book series, and is planned to includes both films and TV series, according to Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh.
So, another movie, TV show adaptation based off a book thing. The Chronicles of Narnia. The next one, Netflix's The Witcher.
Which I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, who doesn't want to see our good boy Superman as not Superman? Henry Cavill.
Hey, we praised the shit out of him in Fallout.
I know,
Like,
he was really good.
he was arguably our favorite part in Fallout. So I'm down for more Henry Cavill. And he gets a sword in this? Hell yeah.
Yeah, and he has magical powers and he fights demons and shit. It's cool. Okay.
Yeah, I'm down. Like, all right, let's see where it goes.
All right, the next one is Cursed, a forthcoming fantasy novel by Tom Wheeler coming to Netflix, which also a property I've never heard of, so I'm not sure.
It's a retelling of the legend of King Arthur.
Yeah, so I'm
Which
not.
that has done well recently.
Yeah, I mean, just ask Transformers how their telling of the legend of King Arthur went.
I forgot that he was in that.
Yeah, or Hellboy and his retelling of the legend of King Arthur.
Or Arthur.
So, Cursed would be... So, then we have Conan, from Conan the Cimmerian?
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Either way, all we know about this one is it's made by Amazon, and it's going to be directed by the guy who's been directing some of the major battles of Game of Thrones.
Oh, you know the 3 major battles.
Yes, all 3 of them.
All right, cool. I'm down. Okay, let's go. Those are 3 of the best episodes.
Yeah. So, then we have The Wheel of Time, the fantasy series based by Robert Jordan and Brandon Sanderson, made by Amazon and Sony. Will serve as the writer and so somebody who worked on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. will be the writer and producer of this.
Okay. Dark Tower's getting a relaunch?
Yep. Stephen King's Dark by Amazon. Then we have
All right. Well, that movie went well, and we'll see how this goes.
Then we have Shadow and Bone.
Oh, wait. That's right, because they were supposed to do that. Like, that Dark Tower series was supposed to take place after the movie. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
They prolonged it. Okay.
A long time. Yeah, then we have Shadow and Bone. Something about a Grisha's trilogy from Leigh Bardos.
All right.
This will be Bird Box writer and showrunner of Stranger Things. Okay. That seems like it could be good. Like, these things do have good crew members and things behind them. Like, there is promise. But I'm not sure.
But also, there's no guarantee any of these are going to work.
Yeah, I don't think
Good Omens I've seen the trailers for.
Yes. It seems cute, but I'm not too sure how much I will enjoy it. And then the last one, The King Killer Chronicles by Showtime. So, this is my favorite part about the last one. Sam Raimi is going to be the director of The King Killer Chronicles.
He's a good director.
Yeah. Spider-Man, man. Spider-Man.
Spider-Man 1 and 2 and some of 3 are good.
Yeah.
The only reason why 3 was bad was because the studio was like, hey, Venom! He's like, I don't want to do Venom. Venom! But I don't. Venom! Kind of how that went.
Yeah. All right, fine. Venom it is. But yeah. So yeah. Those are the 15 TV series that are coming out soon that at least this website believes will be possible of replacing Game of Thrones.
We'll see.
I don't
Who
believe
knows?
it.
Maybe the Mandalore takes its place.
If it ever comes out. Just kidding. Alright, so there's that. I'm going to take us back to news now. Alright. Is there any more news that you have to talk about here?
I got nothing other than Endgame did pass Avatar domestically already.
Nice. So now it just has to go international.
Yeah, it's got under 200 million left to pass it internationally.
Okay. Nice.
which it will do,
It'll definitely do it.
which will put it over. So, good job.
Yay! You did it. You did it, MCU. You made a movie that probably still won't get an Oscar.
When you put it that way,
All right. Do you have anything else you want to say, Dev?
fuck the Oscars.
All right. So I guess that's Oop, wrong one. There we go. I guess that's it for us here today on the Critically Casual podcast. If you liked what you saw, oh wait, I did forget one thing. Forgot to announce our movies for next week.
Yes.
How? So next week, we're all super excited for next week.
Yay!
So, Alice in Wonderland Through the Looking Glass, and the new Aladdin remake.
Steven Duck.
You ready for Prince Ali Fabulous? Yep.
Did you see how that sounds?
No, I don't watch the trailers. But Genie. But Will Smithy.
It's not. Just from the trailer alone, and I'm going to talk about it briefly.
Okay, go for it.
It doesn't sound like they're letting Will Smith be Will Smith.
Oh. He doesn't get to be Deadshot. Really difficult to work with, and just kidding. I hope it turns out okay. Because we know Alice Through the Looking Glass is going to be a train wreck, so.
But it's better, apparently, than the first one.
Better than the first one. Do I believe that? We'll have to find out. Next time. Oh, I'm just kidding. I do feel like
Next
a caster.
time on Critically Casual.
That was almost cool. You tried.
Well, they're different weights is the problem. This one's got a blowback system, while this one doesn't. So this one has a lot more weight down here than this one does through the entire system in it. So I could probably do it easier if I flipped them around.
It was better. It was much better. All right. So, with that in mind, everybody, and while Dev is practicing flipping his guns like Laura Croft from Tomb Raider,
She uses Deagles. I use 1911s. There's a difference.
sure, they're all boomy sticks that make you die. So, thank you very much for joining us this week, guys. If you liked what you saw, hit us with a like, a follow, a subscribe, whatever, wherever you're watching us. If you liked what you saw, you can always see us again next week for, like I said, Aladdin and Alice Through the Looking Glass on Sundays at 1 p.m. Wednesdays, we always have third player optional with gaming, with Caver J and Torn, where they talk gaming and news and gaming news. And I was on the episode last week, and
Yeah.
it was cool. That episode of was uploaded to YouTube today, a little bit behind schedule. Otherwise, you can always see us on Thursdays with the Har Har Podcast at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Follow us on Twitch and Twitter. Anything else?
No.
No?
I think we're good.
All right. We'll be seeing you.
We'll be seeing ya.